morning and good morning from Australia. My name's Glenn Dobson and I'm a couple of hours north of Sydney, and it's a beautiful part of the world. The sun's out, had a swim this morning, and summer's on its way. And it's great to be part of your conference and to join you and join people from around the world. If you're in Sydney, you've got to look at me up sometime. I'm going to go inside now because then I can actually see the screen. But it's great to be part of the conference, and especially to be part of the BBX group. Thank you for the invite. 2020 has been a hell of a year for a lot of people. A lot of companies have struggled, and a lot of companies, however, are doing extremely well, benefiting at a time that's difficult for many. When COVID first hit, the first thing I did was ring all of my clients up and said, go on the attack. Attack is the best form of defense. Do not sit back and hope you can get through this. Hope is not a strategy. And the companies who have gone on the attack, who have continued to drive their sales and their marketing, they're doing well. They're growing, or they're at least maintaining. The companies who cut their marketing budgets, cut their expenditure, cut their investment in sales and marketing, they're the ones who, I don't know if it's a term that's being used around the world, but the term in Australia is they're zombie businesses. Zombie businesses. They are only standing up because the government have been giving them money to stay afloat. So at a time where, and it's undoubtedly tough in different countries around the world, at a time that it's really important that we go on the front foot. Today, I'd like to give you a few thoughts and a few ideas about how activity drives results. One of the things, even pre-COVID, one of the things that we find is that, and we've been training and coaching organizations now at the Kona Group for over 27 years. We range from some huge international clients all the way to small businesses. And one of the things, whenever I ask a business owner or a business leader about their numbers, they're quite happy to share with me their P&L. They're happy to share with me how much they spend on printing and advertising and how much they spend on petrol and wages, etc. They know their P&L. But when I ask them, what are your numbers in terms of your activity? How many proposals are you, or quotes are you getting out a month? How many meetings are your salespeople having a month? What's your conversion rate from meeting to proposal, or from proposal or quote to actual order? Even a basic one. What's your average order value, or your average client value or customer value? Most, in fact, far too many companies will say to me, don't know. And in fact, you can't even get an average. Of course you can. You can have an average of one. If you've got one customer, you can average of 100 customers. It does not matter. If you don't know your numbers, if you don't know your sales and marketing numbers and ratios, as opposed to just the outcome, then if you don't know the activity, then you are out of control. And in fact, if you are a leader of a business, then you are letting your people down because it's just guesswork. So today I'm going to share with you a few ideas and a few thoughts, and then I'm going to share with you 2 or 3 examples of exactly what we've done in our businesses that have helped them grow. So the last 2 businesses I started and grew and sold, one of them was a storage business, a document storage company, and the other one was our corporate training company, which has now we've increased the business quite dramatically, and brought partners in. So hence I'm sitting by the beach in a caravan, loving it. Okay, so I'm going to go to screen share now. Hopefully this will work and give you some thoughts. Oh, there we go. There we are. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Okay, so first thing in these trying times is it's absolutely crucial we do not cut our sales and marketing budgets, and we increase our sales and marketing activities. Otherwise, we will become zombie businesses. It's important that knowing our numbers doesn't mean what our profit and loss is, because in any business, we can spend time and money on branding and HR and legal and IT and operations and products, etc., and executive meetings, etc., and systems. But the number one function of our business is sales. What are we doing to drive more sales? Selling is not having the gift of the gab. Selling is not about selling ice to Eskimos. Or somebody said to me recently, "Oh, you're a salesperson or a sales coach. You must have a great personality. You must be able to talk underwater." That's bullshit. For goodness sake, we're all in sales, and it's a process that must be managed. So let's just think about your business now. My company is called Kona. So Kona is named after the Hawaii Ironman, which is I'll do in kilometers. 4 kilometer swim. It's a 180-kilometer bike race followed immediately by a 42-kilometer marathon run. Now you don't just rock up and do an Ironman like that. I've done 23 Ironman, including one Hawaii Ironman, and activity drives results. So my normal week would look like this. Monday, I'd swim over 3Ks. Tuesday, I'd run 20Ks. Wednesday, I'd run 20Ks. I'd cycle. And Saturday, I'd cycle 160Ks and run 10, and so on and so on. So every day, I knew what my activity was. So many of you now thinking, so what? What's that got to do with my business? Well, let's translate that now into a reverse planning activity. Let's say that in your business, you want, in addition to the revenue you're generating now, let's say you want to generate an extra £250,000, dollars, shekels, yen, whatever. This is an example. If you want to increase your business by £250,000 and your average customer value is 5,000, then guess what? Straight away, it's easy to work out. You need 50 new customers. Don't forget, this is new business. This is a new $250,000 or pounds. It's not existing. So you know you need 50 new customers. So then you look at your inquiries. Well, if your inquiry conversion ratio from inquiry to winning that customer is 3-to-1, be it through proposal, be it through conversation, be it through quote, it doesn't matter. If your ratio is 3-to-1, then all of a sudden you now realize that you need 150 new inquiries to generate 50 new customers at £5,000 that will generate £250,000. This is where your marketing comes in. So all of that is sales. This now is marketing. So how many contacts, how many new inquiries, how many people are you touching or speaking to through emails or your marketing or advertising? How many are you contacting a month? And if your ratio is 20-to-1, then all of a sudden you now need 3,000 new contacts. You need to be in touch and making contact with 3,000 new people or new businesses to generate ultimately that £250,000 at the end. If you're marketing, if you've cut back your marketing and you're only generating, let's say you're only touching 1,500 new contacts and your contact to inquiry ratio is the same, you're only going to get 75 new inquiries, which means 25 new customers, which means at the average order value, 125,000 new pounds or dollars. So the activity drives results. But most companies we talk to, they have no idea about their ratios. These are just basic activities that need to be managed. If you've got a salesperson, if you're investing in a salesperson, then these are the conversations you need to be having. How many inquiries are they generating with? How many proposals or quotes do they have out at any time? What is the average of those? Because if you're just talking to them about, have you hit target? Have you hit your numbers this month? Then that's too late. Manage the inputs, not the outputs. So do you know your sales and marketing activity numbers? You might know your sales and marketing results, but do you know the activity that will drive the results? How well are you actually monitoring and measuring and managing the activity that drives results? Or are you just looking at the accounting figures at the end of the month saying, hey, we generated this amount of revenue, but shit, don't know how we did it. So one of the key things you must work on is identify the activity that drives your business. So how much new business do you want this year? What's your average customer value? How many new customers do you need? What is your conversion ratio between inquiry to winning a customer? How many new inquiries, therefore, do you need to generate? What's the conversion ratio or the contact ratio from making contact with a prospect to actually turn it into an inquiry? Just a thought on that one as well is there are many ways now of touching new contacts. EDM, electronic direct mail, newsletters are an easy way of doing it. They're a cheap way of doing it, but you might only get something like 10 inquiries from 1,000 emails, but at least you're starting to measure it. Whereas if you go to a networking event, if you go to say a BBX networking event, you might meet 20 people in one night. You might have 20 conversations, of which 10 of them you agreed to meet the day after. So straight away, your contact is 2 to 1. So a lot more effective. Okay, let's move this forward a little bit further. I mentioned a couple of real life examples. So over the years, one of the businesses I started and built and sold from zero was a company called Store A Box. Store A Box was a document storage company. We bought a warehouse as an investment property. The guy walked out, didn't pay the rent, so we literally went to the local office works. We bought 100 empty brown archive boxes, put them in the window, so it made the warehouse look like it was full. And then literally box by box, we started to fill it as people gave us their boxes full of business documents. After 3 years, we had two warehouses and we sold it. Kona has been going now for over 20 years. This is another real life example of a business. Going over 20 years, we deal with a range of companies in areas of customized training and coaching in the areas of sales and call centers and leadership and management, etc. So if I look at the numbers, for example, Kona, if we wanted to increase our business by $250,000 this year, our average customer value is about 20K a year. So we need 13 new customers. Our new inquiry to customer ratio is about 3 to 1. We know through our marketing that if we reach 75 new prospects, we'll get 40 new inquiries. Sorry, we'll get a new inquiry. So therefore, we need to touch on a regular basis 3,000 new customers. That's the numbers. So every conversation we have is not about past results. It's about what's our activity going forward. Okay, how do you get 3,000 new contacts? Man, for those people who say it's so hard nowadays, that's BS. Yeah. I'm an old guy. I remember sales where my boss would give me yellow pages and say, there you are, there's your database. And all my customers started with A's and B's because literally I wouldn't work my way through. Nowadays, you as a business owner, you can invest in obviously your website, your search engine optimization, face-to-face sales meetings, social media, EDMs, Google AdWords. You can write a book at trade events, etc. You can do joint promotions. These are all the things that we've done in our businesses, even down to something as simple as a fridge magnet. There's so many things you can be doing nowadays to help drive your results. The question is, which ones are you actually doing? How consistent are you? And if you are looking at the networking events, for example, do you go once, ad hoc, say, I didn't get any leads, didn't get any sales, and never go again? Or are you consistently attending a Chamber of Commerce or a BNI or something? So it's about consistency, not just trying it didn't work. Okay, so let's move this on. One question I have whenever I talk to companies about, and I'm not a marketing specialist, I'm a sales specialist or business builder, but one question I always have is, how different is your marketing from your competitors? Do you really stand out, and how will people remember you? So I'm going to share you 3 real life examples of what we've done in our businesses to try and, first off, attract customers who are unaware of what we do. Secondly, get them thinking about, maybe I could use those services. Get them to agree that they need our services, and then they start to look at options, including other companies, but then they'll place the order. So my focus in all of these 5 stages is, how do we stand out? How can we be remembered? So here are 3 tactics. The first one is personal branding. Why would I want to do business with you? How much time a week do you spend on social media? On Twitter, on Facebook, on the internet, Googling and searching, YouTube, even Tinder. Instagram's a big one that's coming through. How much time a week do you spend on social media? And then, how much do you spend on your profile? So if I'm a customer, the first thing I'm going to do is go to Google, and I'm going to Google a company or companies that sell your products or services, which will mean a website. This week, my wife and I, we're literally spending 5 weeks just traveling around in a mobile home, and it's fantastic. The first thing we've done before we move is check out the media reviews of both sites that we're going to stay on and restaurants and places we're going to eat. So how well is your company looking in terms of a website and the media and so social media and reviews that represent you? So that's a great start. Obviously, you've got a company website. It's 2020. If you don't, for God's sake, you don't deserve to be in business. The second part of customer, though, through this customer buying filter, will be your personal profile. Are you somebody that stands out from the pack? Let me give you some examples. I'm amazed at how many people have their own, when I say shop front, I mean their own personal profile. If you imagine your online profile as your shop front, a lot of people think they look like this, think they are, think that their company is an aspirational brand, but really, so through their LinkedIn profiles, their shop front, which is what your LinkedIn profile is, looks like this. Most people just don't understand in 2020 that LinkedIn is the #1 sales tool, especially if you're in B2B, and it's free. And as a Yorkshireman, I love that. So let's just talk LinkedIn. It's 2020. If you've not got it, for God's sake, smarten up. You don't. Otherwise, you might be the world's best, but unless you've got a strong profile, you're never going to generate the business you could. This is an example of a LinkedIn profile I saw recently. No picture, no backdrop, even the title, finance broker. They got 78 contacts. What on earth is going on there? Your LinkedIn profile should stand out from the pack. Have a banner, have an image, tell the world what you do. Summarize what you do for your customers. Put results up. They don't want to see what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's not a list. It's not a list of tasks. Put things up that make you stand out from the crowd. You can see from my profile, I put results up, results after results after results that we've generated for clients. What do you do for your clients? Your skills and endorsements. How many you've got, and are people endorsing them? I had one sales director recently who was failing big time. I looked at his endorsements, and nobody was endorsing him for for the work he's done. That's literally like having a business with poor reviews or no reviews. Again, recommendations. Recommendations are the things that people will say about you, willing to say about you, and often in business out, they're the things that make you stand out. How do you add value? Are you giving information to help people through LinkedIn? How do you stand out? Last year, I became the oldest guy in the world to complete the Winter Warrior cage fighting program. Now, what's that got to do with business? It's got everything to do, because it made me stand out from my competitors. Are you socially responsible? Do you have an opinion, or do you post things? Do you help charities, etc.? And mix your profile up. Put different pictures up. Put different things up. LinkedIn, it's #1. You are not a commodity. 45 million people around the world are using it, and you're selling business to business, and you're not using it, then you're never going to be as successful as you could be. Okay, so let's move it on. few things, few summary that we've just mentioned there. Most people we spoke to, you need more recommendations, more skills, you need contact numbers, you need pictures, you need case studies, you need one-line results. Point number two, tactic number two, don't be afraid to stand out from the crowd. And look, I'm going to angle this, definitely Australians. Americans, you stand out. Poms, you'll stand out. But Australians, my God, you're too worried about being seen as a tall poppy. Stand out from the crowd. This is a business that I mentioned, Store Box. Our vehicles were sign written like this. The image there, yes, it's an image of myself, but that's actually a picture on the vehicle, full size. There I was standing holding the box. The guy covered the whole vehicle in that. We got so many leads from that vehicle because it stood out. All of our marketing looked like that. When you move by, rent, store your boxes, contacting us, we stood out. Yeah, it's not about being a tall poppy or being arrogant. It's about being different to the competition. One of the things I did a few years ago was I ran across the Sahara Desert, and I ran in the company shirt, and it made me stand out, and people recognized me for doing crazy things like this because I'll constantly run in company uniforms, not just a t-shirt that has the logo on. Ironman triathlons, as I mentioned, I've done 23 Ironman. Yeah, every year I run in one of my company shirts, and I then use that as part of my marketing. So what are you guys doing? Recently, I cycled 1,000 kilometers from Sydney from Brisbane to Sydney, and we promoted it all the way. How do you stand out? Don't be scared with your marketing to put your customers into the marketing and the problems that they have. Okay, third point. This is 2020. The internet is just phenomenal. And the companies who are just really trying to sell their products all the time, as opposed to sharing their knowledge, are struggling. But the companies who are using videos, tutorials, sharing the techniques and the how-tos with their market are really, really getting one step up on the competition. So one of the things that we as a business have done, we've created online videos and tutorials and lessons and training programs online that people can download to share the knowledge. We've written books. My business partner wrote a book on how to build a business. I wrote a book on cage fighting. God, what the hell? What's that got to do with growing revenue? Well, a huge amount, because it was one of the best marketing tools I've ever come up with. So you're starting to think, as I start to pull this together now, as a business, there are so many things that you can do to grow your business, but it's a case of what exactly are you doing and how serious are you about it? One of the things that people are saying, especially now in 2020 in COVID era, is, yeah, I know I need to do all of that, but I don't have the cash flow. I don't have the resources. Most of the things, the tactics I've showed you, from printing of books, from uniforms, from websites, to EDMs, etc., I've paid for using BBX, not cash. I've kept my cash in the bank and I've paid for it using BBX. They're an outstanding service, because why use my money when I can use theirs? And they'll find me customers that I can pay my account down with. So most of those resources have been paid for using BBX dollars, as opposed to cash. Final thought: no matter where you are in the world, selling is still a numbers game. So we've got to be proactive in these tough times. Don't just sit back. Don't hope things will work, because you'll get left behind. Work out your numbers. Work out the activities, the key activities that you must do. Don't measure the past like you would with a P&L, or like your accountant would. And what's the definition of accountant? It's somebody who looks in the rearview mirror and tells you what you did last year. Bugger that. Tell me what I need to do next year. How many meetings do I need to have? How many customers do I need to have? How many proposals? How many quotes? How many do I need to generate on a month and a week? And get into that and drive my marketing. Activity drives results. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure with you. I'm going to try and come back out of the share there. There we go. It's lunchtime here. It's 1:30 actually. Sorry to rub it in. The sun's shining, and yeah, I've got to get back in the water. But it's been lovely meeting you all. Please, if anybody wants to talk about any of the things we've spoken about today, very happy for you to contact me. My name's Glenn Dobson. It's Glenn, GLENN, at Kona, KONA.com.au. Glenn at Kona.com.au. Alternatively, connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with me through BBX. Connect with me through our websites, Kona.com.au or hbbgroupaustralia.com.au, and happy to have a conversation, see how we can help you through these tough times. Guys, nice to meet you. Stay healthy, stay safe, look after your families, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheerio.